YouTube, this is Stash coming at you with another book review vlog. Stash, the Polish American vlogger. Hope you can hear me. This one's going to be on a book by M.B.B. Biskupski. Keep forgetting the gentleman's name. Excellent book if you're, in particular, if you're from Poland or a Polish American, or you're into World War II, Hollywood, and that type of thing, historical stuff. This is, I don't think, a well-known book, but the reason why I'm vlogging about it and the reason why I checked it out is it goes a long way into kind of explaining negative stereotypes against the Polish and Polish American people. Because politics is difficult. Politics is dirty, and war is even dirtier. The author explains that, unfortunately, not everybody goes to the battlefront in war, and not everybody reads books about history and non-fiction stuff, and not everybody goes to the front. Most of the civilian public stay home, so what they know about war is from Hollywood motion pictures, of course. So for better or for worse. So the author actually goes on to tell the horrific history of Poland in World War II, and the losses, the tremendous loss of life by the Poles and their Jewish brothers in Poland. Tremendously high losses, of course. And also that there was a pact between Hitler's Germany and Stalin's Russia, and they both attacked Poland, and so of course the history is dark, and of course they didn't have any chance to win. They fought with great valor. Germans attacked civilian population they had to give up, and the agreements they had with Britain and France and so forth, their allies, didn't really help them much. So he gives kind of a primer on the dark history of World War II, and in discussion of Polish actors. There hasn't been, in Great Britain or the U.S., that really any heavyweights coming into doing Hollywood films. He does mention Richard Donner, who was a favorite of my favorite guy, Peter Sellers, of Hitchcock's 39 Steps. You may have seen him. He was not in great health, though, he wasn't able to put out that many films. That's an unfortunate thing about the Polish actors. They weren't really, they died pretty young. Sir John Gielgud is actually a Pole. He's well known, but he's known to be an Englishman. He's excellent, of course, one of the greatest Shakespearean actors to hit film. And the biographies of Poles seem to be kind of suppressed or whatever. And as bad as the war went for Poland, there was no positive films of any note, really. I remember my grandmother saying, there were newspapers saying, help us, America, but the U.S. never came to the aid of Poland. The public was sympathetic, he tells about the gradual process, how the American public began to kind of look the other way, because Russia was doing the bulk of the fighting, so Soviet Russia. So, the American public didn't want to get in on that. And thus FDR's government was sympathetic to the Russians, to the Soviets, and Uncle Joe. Also, you might have seen the movie, the comedy Hail Caesar with George Clooney, Josh Brolin. Kind of shows how a lot of the Hollywood elite were intellectuals, and they were communistic indeed. So they were sympathetic to their fellow travelers, sometimes known as in Soviet Russia, and that also was a bad break for the Poles in terms of movie stuff. Apparently, this author is alleging. You got to read the book to check it out, but given what went down, that makes sense. So if you disagree, and hit me up in the liner notes, will you? In particular, if you're Polish, I want to hear from you. But yeah, the author goes through an extensive history of that, and there was no huge breakthroughs for Poland and Hollywood. There was no, as he puts it, no Victor Laszlos. Victor Laszlo was the freedom fighter in Casablanca, the really handsome fella. That just didn't come across for the Poles, and that's some. Now, I would recommend, as a side note, the films of Andrzej Wajda, the Jewish gentleman from Poland, Andrzej Wajda. One of their best directors, tackling a lot of more serious subject matter. He does a movie on the Katyn. It's not to be missed. Ashes and Diamonds is probably the best known and considered probably the best Polish film ever in a lot of ways. That's about the post-war, Cold War, communist-occupied Poland. So Andrzej Wajda, Ashes and Diamonds, the Katyn, about the massacre. That's another thing. The Allies found out about the assassination of Polish officers in the form of the Katyn forest massacre by the Germans, unfortunately, and it was, somewhat suppressed, to say the least. It's kind of a dark part of history. So, they preferred to be an ally with Russia to defeat Nazi Germany, then come and help out Poland. This is something that the Polish Americans should never stop talking about and never forget and explain to their friends their position, so we can move on historically. The author goes on to tell that because of a lot of this situation, Poles weren't portrayed well in Hollywood movies at all. They were made to look stupid, corrupt, ill, mentally ill, things of that nature. And in their darkest time, when they were really getting bombed by Germany, they came out with a comedy, To Be and Not to Be, that was later done, not the Mel Brooks one, but later on. And I don't think they appreciated that. Given the death tolls, and given their situation, again, they acted with valor, but there was no chance of winning, and they were in a tough position. So, this is an important book to get a hold of. It's in ebook, and I think in hardcover, I think, as well, but it's definitely it's a costly ebook, but it's a great one from Amazon. You might want to check that out. I don't know if Barnes and Noble ebook has it, or you might want to ask your local library to pick it up. But it's worthwhile. I'm going to leave in line notes. There were some great silent actresses who were Poles before that. And again, a lot of models and actors, we just don't know their real nationality for whatever reason. That went down too. 39 Steps, Robert Donat, John Gielgud are just a couple of them. There were some other great ones. But this is an important book, and again, unfortunately, people learn from movies. Americans have been traditionally excellent propagandists. The movie Top Gun in the Cold War scared the hell out of the Libyans and the Russians. And they're going to come out with another one soon. That's just one. So, America's been the most successful that way, but the Poles indeed were left behind. Let me know in the line notes what you think. How has this affected you? And what do you think? You know, there's another movie, Enigma Code, with the woman who was in Titanic, and that one was rather insulting because the Poles broke the codes for the Enigma machine, and in this movie they have the Polish guy betray the British code breakers, and then goes with the Germans because of Katyn, which makes no sense. Because again, you know, that's ridiculous, because the Germans killed the Poles even more. But I guess the character felt so angry about Katyn that he betrayed his comrades. It's ridiculous. There's no big production movie about how the Poles broke codes in World War II. There's just Imitation Game with Mr. Alan Turing. In the public mind, he gets sole credit for that incredible feat, but it's just not true. Polish code breakers broke the codes before the British. Not very well known. Okay, so let me know in the liner notes what you think. Check out this book any way you can. Check your local library to see if it has it, or order it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or what have you. And yeah, I'll leave information on the author's complete name and so forth in the liner notes. Alright, God bless. Hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry, I'm a little bit fatigued at the moment, but I did my best to vlog for Polonia, my brothers. And for America. And for Poland. Alright, take it easy. God bless. Ciao.